Welcome back to the Oosh Brothers podcast. My name's Louis, and I'm here with the man himself, BB Malloy. How are we doing over there in Masterton today?
It's been a long day, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's been
Yeah.
it's been a hell of a long day. I went into Iron Maiden last night and Kill Switch Engage at Spark Arena. Then my flight got delayed, and then I missed the train home by 2 minutes, so I got stuck in the windy shithole known as Wellington for 4 straight hours before I
Hey,
was allowed to come home. It's so don't even front. It is so cold over there, and it was
yeah.
pissing down with rain.
It was real nice and sunny in the morning on the bus, and then I get to work an hour later, and it's like dark skies, and it's just pissing down.
When you are hauling luggage around that you've been hauling around since like 9 o'clock that morning as well, you just kind of get to a point where you'd like to go home, like to your own house and just not be out
Yeah,
and about anymore. Like I
yeah,
was just a quick brief on this thing, right? So I turned
yep.
up to Auckland on
hmm
Monday morning and we came into town. We went and had a sneaky slap on the pokies because like it's mandatory at this point. And
Did you win big?
I actually didn't do too bad. Like I doubled
Nice.
my investment, which is was always good.
Oosh.
Uh,
Took her out for a
Oosh.
nice steak dinner.
You're, yeah. And then I had a pint of Guinness because also you're in an
Good
Irish
lad.
bar, it's mandatory. And yeah, so I was accosted by three gentlemen dressed as UK roadmen. They were handing out crinkled flyers that said free haircut on them. And I said, "What's all this about then?" And they said, "We're giving out free haircuts." And I was like, "Okay." So they led me up the street. And the further we got up the street, the more dodgy it looked. I went with my instincts. I didn't think I was going to get robbed. And I was correct. I wasn't going to get robbed. So I went into this room and there is like 50 barbers giving 50 people haircuts, and they are all trainees, like dudes that need to fill in their quota of like 140 hours of hair cutting before they're allowed to be a certified barber, right? And I sit down and there's this guy who is like clearly gay but is putting on a front because he doesn't want anyone to know he's gay. Because when I
Right.
sat down in the chair, he's like 6 foot Maori guy, like skinny, comes over and he's like, "So how do you normally have your hair done?" And he was really soft spoken. And then one of the big barber dudes, like all the dudes that weren't good enough for like to play rugby professionally, and they're too vapid to do anything else. They take up barbering. They One of them would come over and be like, "Oh, can I get your size 3 clippers, please, bro?" And his voice would change up. He'd be like, "Oh, my G, no, all good. It's just over there." And he would completely
Yeah.
switch up. Like as soon as he came into contact with anyone who had like 50% more testosterone than him. So clearly he wasn't threatened by me at all, which kind of says a lot about my manliness, but that's besides the point. Anyway, so this dude proceeds to then absolutely fuck my shit up for 45 minutes to a point where like the sides of my head stick out. There's this weird triangle of hair that has no business being shaved into the back of my head. And he
Yeah.
was just taking a sweet time, bro. 45 minutes. He was really trying to fill in this time to get his certification. The guy in the chair next to me apparently walked in with shoulder length hair and had been sitting in the chair for almost 4 hours. Like the dude cutting his hair was boasting about how long this dude had been in the chair for. And you could see the pain in this dude's face because he was so like non-confrontational that he gave like a wry smile and was like, "Yeah, no, we've had a great time." And you could tell he was just so terrified of like six Samoan dudes beating him up if he said no, that he was just like, I'm just gonna spend the rest of my life in getting this haircut.
In
And he
this,
was
yeah.
just
He might still be there,
so
actually.
he probably is, bro, to be honest with you. Like this was 2 days ago and they were almost finished their haircut, but dude was being lined up on like a professional level to a point where they were cutting like one hair at a time. I shit you not. Anyway, so I tell old mate that I don't have a lot of time today, and can we just, finish up whatever we're going to finish up? I won't worry about taking any off the top. No worries at all. Old mate goes, "Yep, sweet as." Takes the incredibly tight thing off around my neck, and the barber's cape. And I was like, "Yep, thanks so much, man." Asked for his IG so I could like take a photo and tag him in it. Because at this point, I haven't really seen the haircut. And then I went outside and Dean was like, "Oh, it looks nice." And I was like, "Okay, so she's lying."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Can you show me what it looks like?" And she took a photo, and I was just like, "I need a haircut right now. Like, I can't be seen in public like this." It was that bad. And so I found this hole in the wall place with this like 3 foot tall Chinese man. He was wearing jandals, and he just finished smoking like 5 cigarettes, one after the other. And he's like, "You sit down." And I was like, "Yep, sweet as." And he was like, "Who did this to you?" Like, he asked me the question, "Who did this to you?" And I was like, "They're giving
Yeah.
out free haircuts around the corner." And he was like, "Okay, so I'll fix it." And I was like, "Yeah, sweet as." So he's like, "Do you want a low fade? I really don't know how I'm going to fix this." And I was like, "Honestly, just do what you can." And he has given me potentially the best haircut I've ever had. Like, it's so even all round. He spent like a good just 25 to 30 minutes fixing it up for me. Took a lot of length out of the top. It's very rock and roll
Yeah.
looking now. I'm very, very pleased with it. So big ups to that man. That's Lot 7 Haircut Shop. That is literally the name of his store in this weird like hideaway place in Auckland, just across from the Civic Centre. If you are an Auckland listener, by all means, go and check out this man's store. He deserves all the love. In broken English, he described to me what a ram raid was. And I'm not going to fake the accent because I feel like that's really rude. But having someone who knows like 5 total words explaining to you what a ram raid is was absolutely glorious.
How did the topic
And
of ram raids come up?
he told me that he'd walked out of his shop and been punched square in the face, and like people had tried to rob him and stuff. And I was like, "Oh, that's crazy." And he's like, "Yeah, I was walking up K Road and a homeless man asked for money. I said no, so he punched me as well." I was like, "How many times have you been punched?" He's like, "At least 10 times." So this dude is telling me about all the times he's been robbed. And he only charges $20 for a haircut. Like, dude has not got money on him. Like, this is
Yeah.
the haircut shop money is cigarette money. I'm almost certain of it. And you can tell he just, he speaks Cantonese at home pretty exclusively. The only interactions he has with English speaking people will be like at the supermarket or at work. But he did his absolute best to describe to me how awful Auckland is just on a constant basis.
Oh yeah.
And then, yeah, so the topic of ram raids was basically like, "Oh, robbing me is no big deal. You should see what they do to the dairies." And I was like, "Oh, what do they do to the dairies?" And he was
They
like,
fuck
"They
that
take
shit
the
up."
car." Bro, they take, this was his exact words. "They take the car and they drive it through the shop. And then they take from the shop and load it into the car and drive the car away from shop." And I was like,
That's
"Oh,"
probably
and
the
he's like,
best and most succinct explanation of a ram raid I think I've ever heard. That's
yeah,
all you
and then he
need to
followed
say.
up, but like he looked me dead in the eye via the barber's mirror, right? He's looking at me, I'm looking at him, and he goes, "They call it
And
a
he's
ram
looking at
raid."
you.
Yeah, 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 and
Oh,
we're just gazing fondly at each other. But he looks me
I
dead
was
in the eye and
referencing
goes,
Trapped in the Drive-Thru.
"Oh, that's a very niche reference."
Yeah, yeah, because you said because you looked at him and then he looked at me,
Oh
and
yeah,
I
that goes
looked
on
at
like,
him, and he says, "I'm sorry."
yeah, what did you want again?
Yeah,
For context, it's a Weird Al Yankovic song, "Trapped in the Drive-Thru." Go check it out. And
subscribe.
subscribe. But yeah, so then yeah, he looks me dead in the eye and goes, "They called it a ram raid," and I was like, "Oh, that's
Damn.
just wild." And you're at that point of the conversation where you don't want to be the rude guy. You don't want to be the guy
Yeah.
that's like, "I know what a ram raid is," like, and big note. He was very excited to tell me about what a ram raid was, so I just let him.
Yeah, you probably.
You know how like elders, they'll come up to you and they'll tell you a story they've told you 500,000 times. Shout out, mum. But they're
I was
excited to
just
tell you
about to
about it.
say, yeah.
But they're excited to tell you
Right.
about it every single time. So you just let them do it because it's clearly
Yeah.
one of the highlights of their day. It's yeah, pretty adorable, really. Like this man looked like he had stolen George Washington's teeth, though. Like when I said about the cigarettes, I wasn't kidding.
Oh, he's
Like,
got the
I
goat
walked away
teeth.
from there. I walked away from there smelling like cigarettes too, bro. Like, and we only made out for like 5 minutes or so. It was wild.
Damn. I mean, that you kind of walk into that when you get a free haircut. you know?
Yeah, that's fair, actually. I was kind of asking
Yeah.
for it, wasn't I?
Yeah.
But, I mean, that guy got 45 minutes to an hour out of his, certification time. I sincerely hope he learns how to cut hair by the end of his 140 hours.
You could have
Because
been
if he
his
doesn't,
first hour.
I honestly hope I was, because the haircut I got, I probably, if I'd paid for it in a shop, would have sued them. I know we don't do that here, but I would have found a way to sue them. I would have gone to
Yeah.
the point of catfishing the barber into moving to America by pretending to be his love interest. And then I would move to
Yeah.
America. And then I would lead him on for 5 years so we both gain residency. And then once we gain residency, I would take him to court for how shite that haircut was. It's just, oh, man. Anyway, trauma aside, made it home safe and sound. All was well. Iron Maiden was amazing. Kill Switch Engage was amazing. As the more keen listeners will probably know by now, we are not filming live on location in the great city of Wellington because we did put an hour and 20 in. We put in a shift on Monday evening.
Yeah, we put in overtime.
We did. We put an hour and 20 minutes into a show, and the audio was bung. It was terrible.
Yeah, I reckon my microphone may have gone flat during.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because when I took the foam topping off, the lights went on, so I would have just been talking into a phallic object at that point.
Speaking into a tin.
But that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. You know.
Yeah,
that's how it goes.
I'm interested to see how badly because it's quite a live room. Like, there's lots of reverb in here. What it's going to do to the audio quality, but I'm hoping it's good enough for our ravenous, or our very keen listeners out there.
Yeah.
Sorry, English
Rabid
is only
fans.
my first language. Rabid fans, all 9 of you, and I'm sure
Speaking
9
of,
what's that?
Speaking of strange words, so earlier this evening we were watching this new Netflix show called Worst Ex Ever, and it's a part of a series that Netflix does about the worst people that you could possibly deal with. And there was this one episode of this woman who had married this man. They'd split up. She had got full custody of the kids. She'd moved somewhere else. She had a nanny. And the nanny said, and I'd never heard this word before, she said, I didn't really have the time to be a fully live-in nanny, so I didn't want to impinge on their life. Have you ever heard that word before?
Yeah, I've used it multiple times.
Impinge.
Yeah, impinge.
I thought it was a totally different word, like infringe.
Well, that's 2 different meanings.
I don't know. I've never heard it before.
No. I mean, like, there's, there was a really cool question that was posed on 8 out of 10 cats once, and it had me thinking about it for ages and ages and ages. Was a word you've never said out loud?
Impinge.
Like,
but yeah, I think I have seen that. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I've always had one stowed in the back of my head.
What is it?
If I'm ever asked that question. See, I don't want to tell you. But I did have one previously that I promised myself I would never say. And then I got drunk one night and just started saying it because I knew that I wasn't allowed to. So it was braggadocious. And that was...
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I had never said that out loud. And then I was... I ended up I think I had one too many whiskeys or something. It was just like... braggadocious, and then I caught myself doing it, and now if I'm ever posed the question, I feel like I'm lying to people. So I've got another one, but I'm not going to say what it is.
All right.
Anyway,
I'll just wait for you to message it to me.
Yeah, well, yeah. To the news, I think, is probably where this should go from here. I mean, Monday was a laugh and a half. It really was. It was good hanging out with you. It really was. But it was shite.
Yeah, honestly, that was probably one of the best conversations we've had.
Yeah, I know, and other people will never get to hear it.
Yeah, which is a bit of a I think I've got it on my phone still.
Yeah, I mean, subscribe to our Patreon, and we'll just chuck it up there. You know,
Would we ever make a Patreon?
it's $50 for every 30 seconds you're on Patreon. Maybe one day if we do like extra content or whatever, if people actually start
Yeah.
listening to this podcast, then there's a chance we could put a Patreon together. But I'm
Yeah.
not really sure. It's about getting traffic to the podcast, I guess.
So so as you are wearing your Iron Maiden shirt that I assume you would have got at the Iron Maiden concert.
Oh no, I definitely bought this from a bootlegger that was 2 blocks away.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, without fail, I bought this from a bootlegger. Yeah,
Well, I mean, they
I'm
are.
not paying retail. I will never pay retail ever.
What genre would you consider Iron Maiden?
Metal, I guess, like power metal. They were heavy
Which
metal
is
back in the day.
Which is in the realm of rock and roll, you'd say.
Yeah, I would say that.
So on the subject randomly of rock and roll, Dave Grohl's got a secret kid.
Oh man, call you an early 2000s mode of transportation, because that was one hell of a segue.
It was good.
Oh,
yeah.
fantastic! All right, so yes, Dave Grohl's secret family. I haven't read much about this because I'm kind of in two minds really. Like, nicest guy in rock and roll. As far as a lot of people are concerned, would never be able to put a foot wrong, right?
No, but he did.
He's been with his MIDI for 27 years or something. Since he actually released the first album all the way back in 1997.
Great year.
Princess Diana, big R.I.P.
Big R.I.P. to that treasure.
I would say DVDs were invented, but that was 95. Pokemon hit the shelves, 97. Great year. Great year to be a virgin. Anyway,
just a solid year all around, really.
Yeah. Anyway, so yes,
Roxy
some people
is the child's name.
Oh, is it really? I didn't know that.
Roxy. Yeah.
Oh, Roxy.
I don't know the middle name, but I'm assuming it's Roxy. Courtney Love did it. Grohl. That's what I'm.
Oh
gonna
wow,
assume.
yeah, that's one hell of a middle name. Yeah. Roxy. Tom Grant was 100% correct. Grohl.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful name. Must be Spanish or
yeah,
something.
it rolls off the tongue. Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
But it's kind of one of those things where you look at, like, there's people that have done research on it, and the 9 months before the birth date, the Foo Fighters were doing their Australian tour. So either this chick is on tour with them as this is going down, or he has impregnated an Australian woman.
A groupie.
A Grohl, as it were.
Nice.
Thank you. I came up with that just now. Please don't make shirts of that. I if you're listening, I will be charging you. That's my intellectual property.
Now watch you make shirts of that.
I 100% will be making shirts of that.
Yeah. You can get them on our Patreon.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/ooshbrospod.
I went to a Foo Fighters concert and all I got was pregnant.
Damn, that's a shirt right there.
That's actually really funny. Oh man. Okay, don't do anything with that if you're listening, because I will make those shirts. That's great. Oh, so good. Anyway, I'm not really sure. Where my opinion sits on it. To be honest, obviously, any kind of cheating on a partner is wrong. Like, categorically wrong. Like, you shouldn't break someone's trust like that. You shouldn't do anything that's going to harm a relationship, especially if you have 3 teenage daughters already, to another person. He has been open and honest about it. His family have been very vague with, like, we love our dad, but he's got to earn mum's trust back and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of like he's actually handled the PR in such a good way, where no one is asking any questions. Everyone's just, like, people are cracking jokes about Daddy Grohl, Grohl's groupies, or Grohlpies, as we came to earlier.
Grohlpies, yeah.
Yeah. It sounds like a breed of dog.
A Grohlpie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
What kind
can
of dog
imagine
is
it being
It's a
like
Grohl.
it's a Grohl, like a little
Yeah.
ugly ass bulldog looking thing.
Nah, it'd be a Great Dane and a Kelpie. A Grohl.
Oh, right.
It'd be a really big blue heeler looking motherfucker. It'd be like if Bluey started doing roids and rocking up to the gym and just pumping iron. Because a Grohl is also Australian, right? So it's going to have that Bluey accent. Like, it's going to be Roxy Grohl. And that sounds like
Roxy
rock and
Corny loved
roll.
it at Grohl.
Yeah, but if we're just like using first and last names, obviously her beautiful Spanish middle name can go hang. But
Yeah, but I
Roxy
think we just need
Grohl
to get
sounds
the
like rock
message
and roll.
out there.
Yeah, Roxy Courtney Love did it. Grohl is Tom Grant is the Godfather. I appreciate that. Yeah, warms the
Yeah,
heart.
so
What doesn't
so
warm the heart is death, and who died this week? I mean, lots of people, but of notability, who died this week?
rough. Who died this week? Indeed, is the true question. And if you're gonna watch Coming to America recently, you're gonna say "Long live the King," aren't you? Because
Yep,
he's
he was the king
unfortunately
of
passed.
Zamunda. Yep,
That's
but he
right.
was also the king of the jungle,
Yeah,
and at
that
one
works two
stage,
ways. Fuck,
it does work
I'm
two
on it.
ways. Yeah, it honestly, switched on, locked
Yeah,
in. And most importantly, he was Darth Vader. James Earl
yeah.
Jones has passed away this week, aged really old,
93, I believe it was.
93. And so like, and I think we did speak about this on Monday, but whenever I hear about James Earl Jones, my mind immediately goes to Star Wars, obviously, like everybody's does. But there is a man who did the role of Darth Vader first, and he's an Englishman. I cannot remember his name for the life of me, but he has the thickest West Country accent I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah,
And he was really mad when they overdubbed his voice. Like, he fully expected Darth Vader to sound like he was sheep farming in the West Country. And when there is a video online, and it actually came up in my recommended, in my memories today, because I'd shared it before. And you watch
yeah,
this video, and he's like, he's choking out one of his chief of staff people on the, I think it's the chief, like it's the one of his big dogs, on the flight deck of a Star Destroyer. And he starts choking him out, like, air choking him out with his little fingies.
yeah,
And it honestly comes out of nowhere, and he's like, "Oi, find your lack of faith disturbing." And it's
yeah,
so off-putting, because you know that George Lucas at one stage thought that was a great idea until he showed
yeah.
it to someone, and they were like, "Oh, is this a comedy?" And he said, "No, this is a sci-fi masterpiece
space
that I've spent
opera."
years, a space opera, but I've spent years creating this movie, only for you to be sitting there and pissing yourself laughing." And why would that be? It's like, because he sounds like just every single person who owns a farm in the West Country of England.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, so big ups to James Earl Jones. Great actor. Fantastic actor. Beautiful voice. Like velvet thunder. Just silky. Just probably would have rapped serious bars given the chance.
yeah.
Yeah, I reckon he would have had like a voice for it. Just that real stank face, really getting in the groove.
Yeah, Barry White kind of levels,
Oh yeah, but in
Yeah,
a hip hop context would have been crazy.
yeah,
Got some weird news coming out of somewhere in Asia. I wasn't exactly sure where, but there was a lady who was out for a jog of a morning, and she was mauled by a group of otters. I don't know what the collective noun for otter is. It's probably something adorable, because they normally are. But like 10 otters just rolled up on this lady and absolutely ruined her day. She's like covered in blood and scratches, and like hospitalized because she's been absolutely run through by a gang of otters.
which is rough, but it's definitely
Honestly,
a story
it
to
is
tell.
rough. Jamie, pull up what a group of otters is called.
Speaking of JMO, my favorite clip that I've seen is like it's Shane Gillis on the Joe Rogan Experience.
Yeah.
And it's Shane Gillis is like, "Oh, have you seen that video of 9/11?" It's these
Oh my
kids.
god.
Yeah, the uni students in their room drinking beers, and they're like, "Don't worry, mum, this is just apple juice." And then they pan to another girl, and she's looking out the window, and she screams, and it's 9/11, and um, and it really cracks me up because JMO finds it in seconds.
Oh yeah, he's probably got it on speed dial, bro.
Yeah. He's got his
Oh my
finger on the
god.
pulse with that one, but yeah, that video was actually, as Billy Butch would say, fucking diabolical. You know,
Homeland,
yeah.
it's got me, son.
Yeah, fuck, those crack me up, but
So good.
that
It's
and oi oi, if it isn't the invisible cunt.
yeah. I like that it's Carl Urban. I like that there's two Kiwi leads in that movie, and it's it does warm the heart ever so slightly. Carl Urban came up from nothing. Everybody started in Xena Warrior Princess because Lucy Lawless gave everybody their start. Carl Urban was a young,
She's the
fresh-faced
catalyst.
actor. She is the catalyst.
She was the catalyst.
Yeah. She's New Zealand's lesbian Jesus when it comes to acting.
Yeah.
And
My
it's
dear
just,
friend, Lucy Lawless.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. She was on Brotown as well.
Yeah. And then
Oh
she
my
did
God.
the war cry as well.
Yeah. Oh, she's been in an episode of The Simpsons too.
Yeah.
She saves Bart and Lisa. She's like flying through the air or something.
I was watching The Boys and it was like the start of season 2. And there's a part in that episode where Homelander, like, spoilers, Homelander has killed Madeline, who was the boss, but he also had a fetish for like breast milk.
Yeah,
and I
which
was
is
watching the
super
part of the
unsettling.
I was watching the part of the episode where he like makes love to the bottle, pretty much, like sticks his tongue down there and then drinks it out, and then the miss walks in. She's a bit unsettled, but I'm laughing because it's like, yeah, that's Homelander for you,
Oh yeah,
that old
absolutely.
chestnut.
See, Anthony Starr. There is a really cool article that was written a few weeks ago about him learning to use the duality of playing like a bipolar or a schizophrenic character with his Outrageous Fortune role that he had, right? So he played twins in the New Zealand show Outrageous Fortune. One of them was, had his stuff together and had a job and stuff, and the other one was hanging out with his dumbass mate and doing silly shit. So having that, like, to be able to switch between characters at that sort of a pace has led him to have that like sort of unhinged secret that we're always waiting to be explored, which and again, it's just amazing acting from both Kiwi leads. I wish Carl Urban had worked slightly more on his Cockney accent, because there are some words that he says that I just, as a person who has always been quite enthusiastic about impressions, I just sometimes cringe at some of the shit he whops out with. But outside of that, it's a really good show. You've got Kerry Russell and Dennis Quaid's child.
Meg Ryan and Dennis Quaid's kid.
Oh, no, because who is Kerry Russell then? Oh, Kerry Russell is Kurt Russell's daughter. Is he Meg Ryan's kid?
Yeah, that's what it said on the old search. Meg Ryan and Dennis Quaid. Yeah.
Okay, I think Kerry Russell's married to someone famous as well, actually.
But yeah, because as
Quaid.
we know,
His name is Jack.
Yeah, Jack. Yeah, as we know, The Boys is based off a comic, right?
Yes.
An old comic. I don't know how old it is, but apparently it's not that good. Apparently the show is way better.
Because Seth Rogen had something to do with the comic, right?
Yeah, because he's been in a couple of episodes. But anyway, speaking of comics,
Has he been flaunting his shitty pottery in those episodes as well? Because that's all I fucking see
No.
on his Instagram, and it gives me the screaming shits.
No, because a couple months ago, in the space of in the comic space, as it were, probably one of the most popular comic YouTubers, Comic Storian, passed away.
Oh yeah. Oh, big
That's another
RIP to that
segue
guy,
for
man.
you.
That was
Yeah,
honestly
big RIP.
just
Yeah,
just call you an early 2000s mode of transportation shop in a strip
yeah,
mall in the Midwest, because what a
yeah,
segue that was.
yeah.
I
Bit of a shame.
I
Yeah,
just I mean for me, comic historian was like I'm a massive comic book collector,
nerd.
and have been for a number of years. Shut up. And I have well over 400 comics now. I'm halfway through
Uber nerd.
collecting the full Wolverine series from '88 through to 2012. I've got tons of Copper Age, X-Men, and like going back to Silver and Golden Age as well. I've got some really cool old stuff too. So, like when you type in for context what certain stories are about, or if they've been transferred into movies, if they respected the source material enough, he seems like the kind of guy that would just have all of that information. Obviously, there's also What Culture Comics and all those kinds of people as well. The comic YouTube scene is actually a lot bigger than people think, but once you start deep diving, it's really, really cool.
Yeah, because I was watching Comic Story, and I was watching his Injustice video
Yeah,
because that's definitely one of my favorite DC stories. And then and then it came up in like a YouTube short as a Philly D short. It was like, we now know the cause of his death, and I was like, what do you mean? You don't even know, but it's a real shame. But it's really cool that they're still able to sort of like upload his work to
yeah.
YouTube.
What did he
Um,
die from?
it was a car crash.
Oh, damn. Okay, because he was quite young too,
Yeah,
right?
I honestly don't know, but I'd say he's probably like maybe 30s, mid to late
Yeah.
30s.
Like, grand scheme, dying in your 30s or 40s just kind of seems like a massive waste, like it.
I believe his wife had just had a child too,
Oh,
from what I
man.
saw. Yeah,
Oh, that's awful.
but yeah, no, it was
Jesus.
definitely a bit of a shock to the
Yeah.
system.
Well, to the YouTube community as well. Like,
Yeah,
Philly D reporting on it's big, and, like us
yeah,
talking about it in our podcast is just massive. So,
huge.
like,
Even
huge.
DC Comics like tweeted out and said a big RIP to Comic Story, and I forgot his real name, and I probably should look that up. But yeah,
No, I kind of feel like there's something endearing about only knowing him as his handle, because it's such a
yeah,
forgotten art form now. Like with short form content the way it is, you'll see someone and you'll like their stuff, but you won't remember what their name is.
yeah,
Like whereas when you first settle into being a fan of YouTube and you want to watch people's content, you can subscribe and you can go to your subscription page. But a lot of the time you're talking to people about the videos you've been watching and stuff, and you go, "Oh, have you seen this guy Curtis Connor? Have you seen this guy, Noel Miller or whatever it might be?" And you have to remember those handles. So Comic Storian is kind of like, there's something really endearing about that. I think they're like,
yeah,
I wouldn't want to know his name because he was very passionate about sharing that information and those stories, and I
yeah,
feel like, I feel like he would be happy knowing that people know him as only Comic Storian.
yeah. No, absolutely. Big
Yeah,
RIP. The
big
man
RIP.
was tatted up. He was a good lad, and he will be missed in the YouTube community and by myself because he was like especially like it's kind of like it was always nice to sort of play the videos while also playing video games at the same time, like to sort of
Oh
have
yeah, I
that.
love those.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um. But yeah, no, big RIP died in the US of A. Speaking of, um, did you watch at least part of the debate, the presidential debate between Kamala Harris and DJ Trump?
It was almost as broken ass as that segue that
Yeah.
you tried to pull in just now.
Donald
Call,
Jesowitz Trump, I think is his middle name.
Donald Juice Bar Trump.
Yeah. Donald
Donald.
Jezebel Trump.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
but
watched some of it, and obviously I watched Philly D's report on it as well because it's just fantastic. But his DC dip and twirl tactics are just incredible, man. Like
Yeah.
that the ability to pivot so fast away from a question you don't want to answer, regardless of how far you've been chased, is amazing to
Yeah.
me. Like
The
blaming,
because there was a question on like abortion, I think, and Donald Trump was like, they don't talk about the Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio, eating all the cats and dogs, and he's doing the hand movements,
yeah.
eating the
the
cats and
typical,
dogs.
yeah.
He's kind of got a slight New York accent. You can kind of hear it.
Yeah, Shane
but
Gillis does an
I've-
amazing impression.
Oh yeah, just the joke of like before Donald Trump got shot, and it was the joke of him like saying Donald Trump would be the funniest person to watch get shot, and it was like, what a loser this guy is.
Yeah,
You're gay.
and it's true. It's so true.
Just the way he's able to like the hand movements, and then he's like, this room is so big. I walked in, I was like, wow, what a big room.
He does. He repeats himself or like constantly.
Yeah.
Like he'll say a statement and then he'll be like, "Yes, here was me. Here is the time in which I was thinking about that statement." Like his Shane Gillis's comedy special on the Beautiful Dogs one.
Yeah,
And he was talking about Osama bin Laden being like ripped apart by dogs. We sent in some dogs, some of the most beautiful dogs, and it was just like, there's no context. But he was just, his pivot was crazy, and it was the DA for was it Baltimore? No, it was Springfield, Ohio. The DA for Springfield has come out and said that like there was no proof that Haitian immigrants have been eating people's pets.
Yeah.
And he completely ignored that statement and continued to try and push that topic. And this is not a political podcast by any means. We are very much a pop culture podcast, but it's getting to a point where he is that much of a cartoon character of not only a president, but a person, that when he says stuff, it's just meme worthy. One of the things he said has actually been made into a meme from that debate is the "I have concepts of a plan" statement.
Yeah,
where he's asked if you have a plan for this, do you have a plan for this? And he was asked like 8 times, and when he finally got backed into a corner and he couldn't answer any other way, he was like, "I have concepts of a plan," and it's just wildfire.
So many
now.
plans. I have so many concepts of a plan. You don't even know. You're gonna have to vote me it.
You don't even know. It's going to be incredible. Speaking of people who, what's that?
There was a sketch that Shane Gillis did on Gillian Keeves, and it was Trump speed dating. And right at the end of the clip, he he like one of the people that he was like on a speed date with was a guy, and he's like, "I've never sucked a man's dick, but if I did, it would be one of the best sucks any man has ever given." Which is incredible, because you can imagine if he was put in that position, that's something he would say. You asked that man, he said, "That was one of the best sex I've ever had," and that was from Donald Trump.
He is a cartoon character. Like the fact that
he's a
people
celebrity
voted
president.
Yeah, but like Ronald Reagan was also a celebrity president, and he got, I think it was dementia. So there was a reason for his senility, right? There is no reason for Donald Trump's senility. He is just nuts. Like, and oh man, it's just
Reagan
gonna be
was like
so wild if it happens again.
Because Reagan was voted in at a time where it was like the like communism was becoming such a scare in the US.
Yeah.
Like you could call anyone a communist. So he was like, we're gonna we're going to take down all these communists, we're going to take down Russia, all that sort of stuff. And then they did like polls, and it was like, should the US do something to Russia since they blew up a plane? And there was like 90% of Americans saying yes.
Jesus.
Yeah, then they signed the SALT Act, which is like the nuclear weapons thing. So like, basically, everyone has nuclear weapons, but if they launch something, then the Americans launch something. So it's like, it's I guess it makes it a bit fair in that way. But it's always just a pissing contest to put people's lives at risk, just to be like, our country is actually better. It's like, well, absolutely.
Celebrity presidents don't have a great track record. They really don't. As people or as presidents, they don't have a great track record. Even Bill Clinton became something of a celebrity president,
Yeah. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. Reagan smash.
Reagan smash. Like the Bill. I watched the Bill Clinton deposition. Like because everybody knows I did not have sexual relations with that woman. Like everybody knows that line, right? But everyone knows Monica Lewinsky, gave him dome. Okay, everybody knows that. But in the deposition, in the deposition, he claims that someone performing oral sex on another person does not constitute a sexual activity on the person who receives it. That was his logic. So he didn't do anything wrong because she performed on him. He did nothing. So that's why at the end of
he was a really smart dude as well. Like he was a really smart dude in terms of like getting the economy somewhat back to normal, and then he's like, I didn't actually perform any sexual acts. She was sucking my wang. I wasn't sucking hers.
Yeah.
But like, because her name is like entered the lexicon now, where it's like people will say, someone has Monica Lewinsky, like it's in a Beyonce song. She's like, he Monica Lewinsky all on my blouse, and it's like, oh shit. Now there was also Dr. Disrespect.
Oh yeah, dude.
Talking about his ban from Twitch in 2020 when he was it was alleged that he was talking inappropriately with minors, which he later confirmed, and then he later streamed to over 200,000 people saying, "No, I didn't actually do this. It was this guy that used to work at Twitch that's just spreading these nasty rumors." So what do you say to that, champs? Thanks for the donations, champs. And then, I saw a clip today.
Isn't that right, champs? Like, and he's trying to build his credibility back.
I saw a clip today, and he was playing a game, and then everyone in the lobby just left. But the caption on that was so funny because it was like Dr. Diddler, and I thought that was fucking awesome.
Dr. Diddler?
Dr. Diddler, yeah.
Oh, man.
But yeah, so Dr. Diddler is... I honestly... He'll still have his core audience, but I just don't think he'll be able to gain a huge amount of a following. Very much like what happened to Gus Johnson. The septic pregnancy thing. I think it's going to be a very similar case to that, where it's like, you can't just like you'll have your core audience, but you're not going to be able to have much growth just because people know that you're kind of a piece of shit.
See, this is where we go back to last week talking about Mr. Beast, right? Because there's certainly people that deserve to have that fall off because you've done some pretty wild shit. Mr. Beast personally, without any further allegations of wrongdoing, he himself doesn't seem to have done anything wrong, but the people who he surrounds himself with have done things wrong, and he is not facing any consequences. They just launched, what is it called? It's not Lunch. Is it Lunchables? Nah, Lunchables is already a thing. So Prime and Mr. Beast have linked up to create some sort of lunch pack for children, right? And there's 2 or 3 options. There's like a cheese and crackers. There's some sort of turkey sandwich, and there's also a mini pizza. And it also comes with a Mr. Beast bar and a bottle of Prime. I cannot remember for the life of me what the product is called. They launched it on Instagram. and you jump into the comments, and it's still, how about them allegations? You know, like it's not. About 80% of the comments are not positive now, and he has taken a massive dive in viewership, where he would normally get hundreds of millions of views in the course of mere hours. He is now, yeah, must be nice. But the crackdown has recently seen, like, one of his videos, the one after the major allegations came out. One of those videos only received like 55 million views in its first week, which sounds like, you know, and I'm saying only.
Must be so detrimental.
I know, but like, and I know I'm saying only because 55 million views, you know, sounds incredible. And anyone getting 55 million views would be over the moon on any single video. But when you look at Mr. Beast's numbers, 55 million means that literally no one
Rookie
did it.
numbers.
Those are like, you've got to pump those numbers up type numbers.
Yeah. You
And
just
that's
gotta
kind
pump.
of
Sorry.
go ahead and pump. But the, you know, speaking of pumping up the numbers, I've come to another story in my notes here that I'm so desperately combing through. There was a man edging through my notes, but there is a dude who has made fake bands using AI and use those bands to create $10 million in revenue by listening to their songs with bots and other various programs.
That's insane. I would, because as much as $10 million is nice, I would prefer, you know, I would just do it for like maybe a week, get a couple $100,000, pay off some stuff, get a nice nest egg, go to time zone, blow the rest of it. But unfortunately, unfortunately, I don't have the resources to bot music.
Yeah,
so he's ruined it for the rest of us.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I don't bot any of my music. It's you know, it's not something I've ever had intentions.
No, I listen to the majority of it.
Yeah, you are the bot that listens to the music, but
Yeah,
and I know people that
merch.
do. I know personally people that do and people that have, and I'm not going to mention names, but you know, like
I want to guess, but I don't want to put them on blast.
Nah, don't put anybody on blast. But like the fact that they have the amount of streams that they do with the and it sounds really awful, but the quality of their music doesn't denote the tens of thousands of streams. Do you know what I mean? So it's, you know, I don't want to put anybody on blast, but they vehemently deny their botting, but it's very clear that they are because there's a disparity between songs and playlisting and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah,
you know, there's two ways. There's two schools of thought.
I used to do it in my very first foray into YouTube. My very first channel, which I won't say the name of because it's embarrassing. But what I would do is I would use VLC. I would take a clip of, say, Team America. I would clip out one of the songs. I'd put it on the channel, and then I would just have it on a playlist. I remember I downloaded Bradley Cooper's Inside the Actor Studio and re-uploaded it to my channel. And then I would just have all my videos on a playlist, and I would use Sub Access, which was basically that. You would just sub to people, and they would sub back. So it was very much like an early iteration of follow for follow, but it was still kind of iffy. So I had like maybe over 1,000 subscribers, but none of them were genuine. And I had like maybe close to 10,000 video views.
So upon reflection, your early childhood biography leading into your teens is the blueprint for how to remain a virgin for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm, you know, I was and still am a gamer. I recently got an Xbox 360, and now I'm planning on, at some point in the near future, staying up until 4 a.m. if my eyes remain open past 10, because I can't do it anymore.
Nah, it's so hard these days.
And I still remember I was playing Fight Night Round 4, I think, on my Xbox, and I had the Xbox lying down. Do you remember this? Do I remember this?
I'm going to buy you a plunger for your next birthday, bringing up old shit. Fuck's sake.
Yeah. And I had the Xbox lying down, and you're like, oh, why don't you just stand it up? So you stood it up, and guess what happens to the disc, viewers?
Did it did it wreck the disc?
It does more than that. It gouges the fuck out of it. It goes in raw dog, no lube.
I've apologized many times for wrecking your Fight Night round 4.
What would make up for it is some free Dead Zephyrs merch.
You've done this several times. Okay, it's just not going to happen. It's just
Why not?
It's because it costs me money.
What about? Okay, hang on. What about all the BB Malloy merch that I've bought?
Of your own accord, no one made you buy that.
I still have it. I found the trucker hat. I don't have any of the other stuff because I don't fit it. I still have some of it as like a keepsake.
But we don't need to go there right now.
No, because no. But yeah, so I'll just wait for my free Dead Zephyrs merch. Just ship it to my work. That'll be fine.
Yeah, fantastic. Let's finish this off ever so gently. Okay, so there's two things here. The first thing, Victor Adebayejo.
I think it's just Adebayo.
Oh, is it just, because they have different spellings for all of, is it Adebayor?
No, it's not that
again?
legend.
Adebayor, what a great player. Anyway, so a player that plays for Bolton Wanderers this week has sneezed so hard he injured himself. And I would like to think that it's because he injured himself, but part of me thinks it's because he just doesn't want to play for Bolton Wanderers.
Nah, that's a bit unfair on Bolton Wanderers because they were a top team and when they were in the Premier League back in like 05 and 06. They had
1905 and 1906. Oh, when they had JJ Okocha. Actually, no, I'll take that back on account of JJ Okocha. The player's so nice they named him twice.
Pretty sure Darren Bent played for Bolton as well. He was a good striker. Should have played for England more.
Yeah, actually.
I believe they actually because they made it to the playoff final last year to get back into the championship, but they lost. So now they're still in League One, and I think, from memory, they're currently in the relegation zone, which is a bit of a shame. I do hope to see them back in the Premier League, and also randomly Blackburn. Because they were Premier League winners before Man City were, and they have the same
because
amount
of Alan Shearer. Only.
Well, no.
No, only
Tim
because
Sherwood.
of Alan Shearer. No, fuck Tim Sherwood. Alan Shearer
Sherwood
is the only
was in
reason.
there. So they're currently in the relegation zone. I think Blackburn are actually top of the table above Sunderland, which I hope Sunderland don't make it back.
Wow. Okay. Well, I mean, I don't watch shit football, so I wouldn't know. But
There's nothing wrong with championship football.
There's so much wrong with championship football.
Oh, you're such a champagne viewer of football, honestly. Ooh, look at all these crisp 1-2s. Oh, look at all these triangle passes and playing it out from the back. You watch some real shit. You want to watch.
I do watch real shit.
You want to watch some studs up on the ankles, tackles in the mud, fighting to get back into the Premier League. That's what you should be watching.
I watch Scottish Premier League. I get more than enough studs up tackles in the mud.
Yeah, it's pretty good, actually.
Big up Wraith Rovers, by the way. All right, and the last story I have to sort of round it out for us this evening, I am in two minds about how I feel about it, and I wanted to get your opinion. There is a video that went around that the Black Ferns, the New Zealand women's rugby team, went in for a bit of a cuddle with the one and only King Charles. And I explained this to you on Monday, but I went way too into it because I got very passionate about the subject. But I will say, just straight off the bat, I'm in two minds. One of them, breaking down barriers, like they don't have they do have essentially a law that means that they're not allowed to touch the royal family, which is protocol. A bit over the top. It's protocol. Sorry, that's the word I was looking for. And they're not allowed to touch the royal family, which seems a little bit crazy. And the Black Ferns gave him a big old snugglerooski. So it's which is that's cool. It's breaking down barriers. It's breaking new ground. And if anyone was going to do it, it was more than likely going to be New Zealand, right? Great. Very wholesome
Yeah,
video for the internet this week. And there's a bunch of
absolutely.
people in the comments being like, how nice that he mingles with his subjects. Shut the fuck up. Anyway, the second frame of thought that I have around this is that there is a lot of disdain between New Zealand and New Zealand and its Māori people and the monarchy, right? For obvious reasons. There's a bunch of stolen land that hasn't been answered for. There is the Treaty of Waitangi that has not been honoured to its full extent. Our current government doesn't want anything to do with it and is essentially washing their hands of it. And here we see, the Black Ferns giving the person who has literally all of the power to change that one aspect of things, giving him a big old hug and giggling like school children. So I don't know. When you've got an audience with someone of that much power, do you just shake hands and move on, or do you go over the top and give them a hug? I just don't know. Something about it feels a little bit icky to me. The internet seemed to enjoy it, but there's another side to my brain that's just like, and I don't want to say he's the enemy, because that would be rude. I don't know if it's wrong, but it would be rude. But if you've got a problem with somebody and they've got all the power, if you're not prepared to say something, my advice would just be cordial, shake their hand and move on. Don't make it a love-in, where everyone's, hugging everybody and stuff. It kind of feels like it's defeating the purpose. But again, I could be overthinking it because that's just my bag. Yeah.
Do you want my opinion?
Yeah, because I promised I wouldn't
that's the
get
only thing
passionate
that
about it.
matters
And that's
here.
exactly, yeah. I promised I wouldn't get passionate about it, and then immediately got passionate about it. So let's hear it.
So, in my opinion, humbly, firstly, I don't care.
Fair shout.
Secondly, I think it's good for old King Sausage Fingers to appear more friendly and more approachable than previous monarchs. Like, I know Queen Elizabeth was for the people, but like you definitely wouldn't want to give her a hug,
No, she got egged when she came here
Yeah.
twice. I think.
But I also think so. Like in like for the Black Ferns, obviously representing New Zealand and representing the Māori people. Like obviously the king having lots of power in order to, make certain changes in the Commonwealth. What my thinking is, what would leave more of an impression on how New Zealand is as a people? It's like, do you go up and say, why haven't you answered for all the questions of hundreds of years of, oppression, I guess. Go up and ask him that and be quite, forceful and confrontational, or give him a big old hug with the Black Ferns giving him a big old hug. I would imagine leaves more of an impression than that would.
I get that, but there has to be a middle ground where if you're passionate enough about seeing the return of land and the return of resources to the Māori people, as is their right, regardless of what people our parents included will tell you, is that there is an area where you can stand in the middle of that conversation and not be Switzerland to it, because that means you don't have an opinion, but have a view where it's like, but that's fine, because you're not the person in the situation. You are not King Sausage Fingers, but you are also not the Black Ferns women's rugby team. So there has to be a.
So I'm not in the middle. I'm off to the side in my lawn chair. That's what I'll say.
Yeah. Okay. Well, fair enough. So where I'm sitting is, I would have liked to have seen a cordial understanding between the two, and potentially the grounds for a conversation. I don't know what capacity they were there. Obviously, they win heaps, as most New Zealand rugby teams do. I say most because for whatever reason we've just been shithouse recently. Anyway, and it just kind of, I don't know. I feel like there's ground to be broken there, and they had the opportunity to do so, and they chose to be giggling school children and hug the king. And I have a small problem with that.
So that's you getting passionate about it again.
Yeah, fuck.
You said
okay.
you wouldn't.
Yeah.
So again, I don't think they're being giggling school children about the situation. Like personally, I would probably get at least a bit giddy and nervous at meeting the royal family. Maybe not Camilla. She scares me a little bit. King Charles, I would, because I feel so bad for him because he's waited so long to sit on that throne, to get that crown, to have those sausage fingers out and about for display. So I can definitely understand their reaction, and also being from Aotearoa, wanting to be friendly with everyone because that's just kind of how we are.
Yeah, I get
but
that.
yeah, trying to start a conversation about all the broken promises and the oppression of the Maori people. I would say that right there probably wasn't the best time to try and bring it up. Because I would imagine they're not there on political business. They're probably there to talk about rugby, which I'd imagine
Yeah, I
Charles was
suppose.
so thrilled about.
And look, even if you were cold and calculated in your approach and you just shook his hand and were respectful because you don't want to, offend his time or whatever it might be, you don't want to, enter into a political discussion, that's fine. If you don't want to be cold and calculated, that makes sense. And by extension, in a group mentality, if one person has an idea and then all of you join in, if it's a hug for a person, regardless of what their family has done over hundreds of years, the genocides, the oppression, the land stealing, the resource exploiting, just the overall atrocities committed by all of those horrid, horrid people who claim to be rulers of the Commonwealth. You kind of need to be...
incest.
What's that? All products of incest as well. It just... Yeah, I'm trying not to get more into it than I probably should, but from where I stand...
You kind of already have.
Yeah, I know. I kind of put my foot right in it, but I don't have the respect for them that other people do. I'm not sure why people have as much respect for them as they do. And, I kind of feel like the Black Ferns overdid it. I don't know. I might be telling tales out of school there. They might have been there in a capacity that almost denoted that they should be more friendly with the royal family. Don't know. I don't see any benefit to the monarchy by any means. I don't see it. But again, I'm going to do some more research on it and see, well, even more research than I already fucking have. But see if they're actually benefiting the British public in any way, because they're certainly not benefiting the New Zealand public in any fucking way.
So remember when you said you wouldn't get passionate about it?
Yeah.
You got to look at it from this point of view. Does it affect you directly?
No, which is why in my everyday capacity I'm not walking around saying fuck the monarchy.
Then don't let it bother you.
I don't. That's what I'm saying. Like, we're having a conversation
but it
about
is.
It. No, it's bothering me now because we're having a conversation about it. If it's like I'm not walking around with these thoughts in my head constantly. I don't care about the royal family.
Yeah.
I've made that very clear. But if we're having a conversation about it, and then you've got all of these little factoids and bits and pieces that pop into your brain about, how awful the monarchy really is, you sort of go, oh, here's all of this information. And then you get yourself wound up about it. But 20 minutes from now, when I'm, snuggled up in bed, because your boy's got work in the morning, I'm not going to be
100%.
thinking thoughts of the king and his sausagey fingers. It makes zero difference to me. Oh my God. I do feel sorry for his sausage fingers. because that's not going to be very nice. And he does have cancer too, so it's kind of hard. Like you can't bully someone who's got cancer. Even if their family are one of the most atrocious families in the history of humans, like you can't bully someone who's got cancer.
He's been chomping at the bit because Queen Elizabeth just didn't want to cark it. She just didn't want to kick that bucket.
Refused to die. Refused.
Yeah, but then eventually R.I.P. And then now King Charles rules over the Commonwealth pigs.
Oh well, a bit of a tax break would be nice, or maybe just give all of his subjects a random day off in the middle of the week.
I mean, to his credit, he does have 4 birthdays a year.
Yeah, but we only get to experience one of them.
Which is still better than nothing.
Give us like one of the corgis' birthdays or something, but make it at the end of the year. One thing that has always given me the shits about New Zealand, right, is the spacing of public holidays. Right? So we've got...
Because they're all at the start of the year.
Why are they all at the start of the year? We've got like Labor Day in October, and then there's like Christmas at the end of the year. But after, like I think it's, Waitangi Day, after New Year's Day, and the day after New Year's Day, which, shout out to whoever invented that, because bro was a real one.
Honestly.
Okay? Like, it's a 2-day hangover.
100%.
If you're out there and you mean it, it's a 2-day hangover.
I needed those days one year.
Oh, for sure. But then you've got Waitangi Day, you've got the Easter holidays. There's also Wellington anniversary. Like everyone gets an anniversary around the country for their region, right? So there's Wellington anniversary, then there's Easter. We've got Anzac Day, Matariki, then the King's birthday, which I think is just celebrated around the same time as his mum's birthday was. And then that's
like
it.
June.
Yeah, that's in June. And then we don't have anything else until October, and then it's Christmas. Why do we have like 7 public holidays at the start of the year, all crammed in? Just sucking up everyone's bandwidth at the start of the year.
I feel like 7 is quite a decent amount of public holidays, though.
That's great, but space the fuckers out. Like, like when you worked at your previous employment and they gave you that RDO once a month. It infinitely improved your work ethic and your views on work because it gave you the opportunity to not be there of your choice one day per month without fail. Like you could have a Friday or a Monday once a month with no guilt tied to it, like pulling a sickie or whatever, and you can't even do that. Like this is what I'm saying. You could do it you can do it 4 or 5 times at the start of the year, but then you hit June when it starts to get wintry and people get sick and start spreading their germs around. People's kids be bringing stuff home from kindy and school, coughing and sneezing all over your morning coffee and shit, and then you're sick and you still have to go to work and you feel guilty for taking those sick days anyway. I reckon if we had a couple of public holidays just peppered in, it might be a nice little boost for the morale, okay?
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's going to make up for hundreds of years of atrocities, but your boy could, you could chuck it a public holiday. Call it the sausage fingers holiday, and it could be in like late August.
Ask old mate Chris Luxon, for a cheeky public holiday. He's been out on social media recently. He said that something about prices of gas going down. That slays. He said.
Did he actually say that with his face?
Oh, it was on the national TikTok account. Yeah. He also said that this one was my favorite. He said, "Low-key labor kind of sus." No, low-key labor kind of sus. And he didn't phrase it as well as he should have. No, so it probably should have been labor, low-key kind of sus.
You've just Curtis Connered it. Like that's your Curtis Connering of words, where it's like statement, expression of that statement, explanation.
It works. It works better. It becomes more coherent.
Which
but
brings
he
us
just
back
said
to
it
our
as a full
Donald
sentence.
J. Trump scenario as well. So maybe Curtis Conner is secretly Donald Trump.
The Haitians are eating the cats.
Those poor dogs getting cooked up in Haitian stews. Those poor dogs. Some of the best Haitian stew I've ever had was made from dog. Like
my favorite ever Donald Trump impression is Epic Rap Battles of History with Epic Lloyd doing it.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite lines, and he says, I'll create jobs tearing down mosques, then I'll use all the best bricks from the site to build a wall, dip it in gold, and make Mexico pay for it all.
Oh my god, that's bars.
Yes, honestly.
That's
It's been
Republican
stuck in
bars.
my head, yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
But the worst part was, in that rap battle, because it was against Hillary Clinton in 2016, he had the best bars. Yeah, he said, how do I say this here too? You almost lost the primary to a socialist Jew. What did the American people go to Yankee Doodle do to get it through your fat face that they're just not that into you? Which
Wow.
is rough because it's so
Wow.
true. Yeah, yeah.
My
Go and watch
god.
that. Go and watch every rap battles of history. DJ Trump versus Hillary Clinton.
Anyway, we're
But
literally
yeah,
closing in on an hour and a half. So I am going to sign off as I always do and say peace and have a good day.
yeah. Stay golden.
All right. Bye.